All right. What's up, y'all? Oh, my battery's getting low. So I gotta make sure I got some juice. And I need to go live on Instagram. Give me 1 second, y'all. Hey, good morning, friend. How you doing, friend? I ain't heard from you. What you been up to, toy? Cause I ain't heard from you in a few days, Joe. Let's see. Why every time I try to go live on Instagram, I have to figure out how to do it all over again? You ready to get your morning sermon in? Hey, cuz. Girl, don't say that. I always be saying to myself, whoever thought I'd be out here preaching. I don't want to be saying I'm preaching because I don't be preaching, but I just say what folks be thinking. You know what I'm saying? I know that's right. Let's see. All right, I'm trying to go live on Instagram, y'all. Give me 1 second. Please bear with me. Don't dip out on me because I want to talk about toxic parenting, y'all. Because we all have, you know, we probably all got some crazy parents, or at least one parent crazy, maybe both parents crazy. We finna talk about it. Let's see. Here we go. I found it. I don't like how they switching stuff up on me. I don't appreciate it. Okay, so I'm trying to go live on both my business page on Instagram and then my personal page on Facebook. Shut up, seeing tell about some hurry up. Y'all should have been over here helping me. Shit. And I haven't taken a whole lot of time. Shit. It's only 11:33. So anyway, what's up, Sam? I appreciate you joining us. You can't rush spirit. Y'all know my word come from spirit. Sometimes I'll be having a plan to talk about something and spirit to have me digress and give y'all another word. So what you need? And bring my stuff back. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So, y'all ready to get into this toxic parenting? So I got a few viewers on both spots. So I want y'all to communicate with me, y'all. If you had a toxic parent, or you lived with a toxic parent, you grew up with a toxic parent or parents, I want you to raise your hand in the comments. Hey Tish, good morning, y'all. I ain't really need help. I figured it out, but you know what I'm saying. Saying I could always use help. Um, so we talking about toxic parenting, y'all. What kind of toxic parents did y'all have? So like my mom, if she ever see this, she might get mad, but my mom got anger issues. But she also like one of the moms where it's her way or the highway, and she's very manipulative too. But that's my mama. That's my BFF. That's like the one person in the world that kind of get a pass for me because you know she don't really know she toxic, if that makes sense. So we got a narcissistic dad. Toy said I definitely did, and she had no idea until now. Hell, we didn't either, right? their parents were toxic too. Exactly, Toy. Their parents were toxic too. So, talking about, toxic parents, my mom was a amazing mom, but she had some toxic traits and qualities. But my dad was an addict, so you could just imagine how toxic that situation is. But man, over the course of my life and just um, being around people and just family, I think we all deal with toxic parents in some form, way, or fashion. But some of us got parents that actually like don't like us as people, right? Have you ever, or are you a person that has a parent that like just don't fucking like you? Like your parent just don't like you, and it's people out there dealing with that. I'm so glad you went to therapy because our people, they think therapy is a bad thing. We need to normalize therapy, y'all. Everybody needs therapy. I think I probably talk about that on every fucking video that everybody needs therapy. We all need that shit. If you think you okay and you don't need therapy, I'm sorry, you're sadly mistaken. Tish, yes, I'm gonna save the live. I've actually been downloading them and uploading them to YouTube, trying to get the YouTube channel together. So yes, you can hop off. It will be available later, and I'm gonna put it on Instagram TV too, and it'll be on Facebook for sure. Your dad, as an indigo child, my dad didn't understand or like me. See, in your grown life, your parent don't like you in your grown life, not as a child. That too. Sometimes it goes all the way from childhood into adulthood. It don't ever change. So on Instagram, one of the viewers said she thinks her father felt threatened by her. She was an indigo child. I can see that. Has anybody else felt that? Like your parent felt threatened by you? My family, your family doesn't like you, period. So your whole entire family toxic. Toy just said that family toxic as fuck. She said, my dad didn't like me as a child. He died before we had a chance to figure adulthood out. Black sheep. You know what? I'm glad you said that. Black sheep. No, Kayla, you don't have to be quiet. And you might want to be, I mean, if you want to be quiet, you can. I understand, but you don't have to be quiet. I'm always for transparency, and I'm going to be transparent too. And so, after you kind of hear what I got to say, you might want to share what you want to say. But I always say, speak your truth all the time. Different generations, different lifestyles. True that. That's true too. But it's not even just different generations, different lifestyles, y'all. So let me tell y'all about my situation, right? I feel like both of my parents was toxic. My dad with his addiction, and my mom just being who she is, growing up, how she grew up. A lot of times we don't realize that we really are a product of our environment, right? Even though we might grow up thinking, oh, I'm not going to be like that when I grow up, or I'm not going to be that type of parent, or I'm not going to be that type of person, right? Because we felt like our parents treated us bad. What we don't realize is that we've been wrapped up in that energy pretty much all of our lives, and a lot of those experiences, right, created who we are. No matter what we think, how we try to fight it, whatever the case may be, a lot of those experiences created who we are today. And so subconsciously, a lot of times we develop our own types of issues or toxicity that we express when we have our own kids. And I say we have our own because we all a little toxic. And if you think you ain't toxic, then You need to go look in the mirror and self-evaluate. It's time for you to do some shadow work. Um, hey Jazz, I'm glad you joined, Jazz. Let's see. With my dad and me, that was true. He was a baby boomer. I'm a Generation X. Different values too. Yeah, definitely different values too. So, in my situation, right, and growing up, um, I was a teen mom, and so like my mom showed her toxicity in ways like, uh, oh, you had that baby, your life over. Like she wasn't a babysitting mom. You know what I'm saying? She didn't really have to do a lot to help with the kid. But you know, I was a teenager. I lived with my mom, so she provided that was support, and that was it. Um, but she's always been a mom to do her thing in the streets. So I wasn't that kid that was like, you know, my baby was at home with grandma and I was in the streets. I had my kid all the time. Jazz gonna say we have toxins in our bodies. Jazz, go ahead and admit those toxic values you possess too. Jazz is on Instagram, y'all. Jazz, I'm just keeping it real. So you could just imagine, right? Like growing up in the house that I grew up in and seeing the stuff that I saw, y'all, man, toxic. It might be another level past toxic. Toy said the one who always goes against the grain will feel like this, like the black sheep. Um, that and the one who tries to love on everyone. True that. But you know, it's not just the one who goes against the grain, but it's that one that is was sent here to break the generational curses, right? And I think I'm, you know, as y'all talk, spirit give me other messages that go along with this conversation. So, talking about the toxic parents, right? My parents was crazy. They used to fight. Like I said, my dad was an addict. My mother did not partake. Um, but I don't even know if she knew at first. Like we didn't even have that conversation. But I know she did not know who my dad was in real life when she married. I'm sure that. But she married who she married. So growing up, it was crazy shit. And our house was the damn party house. So you can just imagine. Now, being a teenager was a whole different thing. My parents separated. My dad chose drugs. I felt like that's how I felt at the time when I was young. My dad chose drugs. But it is what it is. They separated, but they never actually got divorced. And so the ways in which my mom began to show the toxicity to me after he left was trying to like turn me against my dad. And she may not feel like that's what she was doing, but that's what she was doing. She was trying to turn me against my dad, and it didn't work. It just pushed me closer and closer to my daddy, who was in the streets. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I just wanted to be around my dad and in the area that my dad was. So she hated the fact that I wanted to go and hang out with my dad in the area that he grew up with and where his family owned property, that type of thing. We had family over there. That's where I wanted to be. She didn't like that. And so even when I was a little girl, I have memories of her, just trying to pit me against my dad. So that's toxic. And so those were her ways of being toxic, like trying to manipulate me. And I feel like she's tried to manipulate me in different types of ways ever since I was a kid. And so then you could just imagine having a dad that's an addict, all the different ways that he's trying to manipulate me, and all the different ways that he was toxic. And so as you grow up, you're like, when I have kids, I ain't gonna be like that, or I ain't gonna treat my kids like this, or woo off the band, whatever the case may be. And then you have a kid, or like in my case, you have a kid young, and you don't even get a chance to still learn life, right? Or you don't even get a chance to, what I say, realize that Because just think about, I had my first kid at 15. So if you think about it, at 15, at this point, I didn't know that my parents were toxic, if that makes sense, right? My parents were my world. I wanted to be around my dad, and my mom was my complete role model. So having a kid at 15, right? I'm thinking they're my world. My mom is my complete role model. I'm gonna be exactly like her at that point, right? At 15 years old, I'm gonna be just like my mama. However, as I got older and had more kids and experienced parenting in life, I realized that ain't what I really want to be like. That ain't the type of mama I want to be like. In real life, she toxic. Like, just imagine, I can't even remember how old I was when I realized that she was toxic, right? Because we don't realize that these behaviors that our parents are exhibiting towards us and the shit that we going through is toxic, right? So like, if you think about on your childhood, it might be somebody on here watching that is thinking about on their childhood and not realizing that their upbringing was actually a toxic situation. And let's see, Michaela said, I've just learned to be mindful when raising my own child, well, children now. I like to be accountable. And see, I'm glad Kayla said that, because, like, Kayla is an adult now, having children. But just think about if she was my age having kids, she might not have had that type of mindset. You know what I'm saying? And so when we think about teen moms and teen parents, we don't think about that. So Facebook, I got CN saying my mom failed me, and I got CC saying both of my parents had addictions. From their behaviors, I had a really bad explosive attitude and didn't care how I talked to people because I was always around people who were drunk, high, and fighting. Exactly. So just imagine, I just told y'all my house was the party house. And so I'm very aggressive too. You know what I'm saying? But not only that, um, being in those type of situations, you develop survival mechanisms, right? And so the way that you live your life and that you go about the world, with these survival mechanisms, just kind of shape who you are as a person, because you take those survival mechanisms out into the world, right? Cece said, I thought my behaviors were okay. I didn't realize until I moved from my hometown and I started working on myself. Right, exactly, right? So this is the growing and this is the changing thing that comes along with, like, as we get older. But here's the thing about our parents, y'all. I feel like our generation, and the reason why I do this here and I talk, um, is because our generation is, and I hate this term, but I do want to say we are more woke, right? We're more open, we're more enlightened than the generation before us. And it took me, what, 30 some odd years to realize that I needed to heal, and you know what I'm saying? It was some other things that I needed to do. But if it took me 30 some odd years, and we're the enlightened generation, just think about our parents who still have not realized that they need to change, or that they need to elevate, or that they need to be enlightened, or that they are toxic, right? We're just realizing it for ourselves. We didn't have nobody to teach us. We didn't have nobody to tell us. It was a different mindset, a better understanding of life, right? So let's see. CC, oh, Jazz says, CC, that learned toxic behavior is a motherfucker, ain't it? And it ain't just learned toxic behavior, it's you being submerged in that energy and in those auras growing up your whole entire life. There's no way that you could shake it off you, right? Unless you grew up in a house where they was saging, ain't no way you can get that energy up off of you. So just think about you being submerged in all of that energy. There's no way you could just not. And so, um, when I look at my oldest son and dealing with my oldest son, that is how I realized that I was the toxic parent that I didn't want to become. So let's see, what else we got here. Um, Mahogany said, my dad was the alcoholic. Mom didn't partake. He wasn't in the household, but I heard the phone arguments. My mom felt some kind of way with me getting close to him and taking care of him as he grew sick. He didn't really take care of me growing up. She had to heal from the grudge, and he asked for forgiveness all before he died. But our relationship is always rocky still. And so Mahogany, I took care of my dad when he was sick and passed too. And you know, it's crazy when we look at our parents, right, y'all, and even looking at us. They didn't have no rule book. The parents before them, like nobody had no rule book to this parenting thing. And so going back to Sin mentioning that his mom failed him, she might have Sin because somebody, her mom before her probably failed her, and so she ain't had nothing to work with. And so she probably did fail you, and I know that's your reality, but part of the conversation. Hey, Nikki Boo. Part of the conversation. Thanks for joining. Is us extending our parents some grace, right? And so, like, I know we've dealt with some fucked up situations, and I know we got parents that um, really hurt us or done some fucked up shit. Like, you know, I got some friends, y'all, that have been through some shit, that I've witnessed some shit. You know, I got some family members that just got some fucked up ass parents, y'all. So I know shit is bad out there. Um, but what I can tell you is that, like, in my situation, what I had to learn was, like, my parents were only parenting with what they had. And this is a conversation that I end up having to have with my son because I saw that I was his trigger. And I saw that I was his trigger at the same time that I realized my mom was my trigger, like triggering behaviors, like triggering anxiety, triggering meltdowns and shit. Like, when I realized that my mom was triggering me in ways that I didn't like, I also saw that I was triggering my son the same way, and I realized that I was toxic. And so somebody on here might realize they might be a toxic parent too. Um, Kayla said, I wish parents were able to be transparent, being open to listening to their children when their children is explaining that something their parents is doing or saying affecting them emotionally. Absolutely, Kayla. Absolutely. Um, Cece said they ain't have no guidance at all. Nothing. Nothing. Imagine what they got before them. So they was parenting the best way that they knew how, y'all. Nikki said, I take care of my mom now, and she finally told us she went through so much, and I'm glad it didn't break her. But certain things she did affected me in ways. Absolutely. And so, um, the moment that I realized my mama was triggering me, it wasn't that long ago. It was just probably like a couple years ago. But she had just called me one day out the blue. When I tell y'all I was having the most amazing fucking day, um, and she called me out the blue with some pure D bullshit, and like had me in tears, ruin my whole day. And I was just like, why the fuck do I let this lady do me like this? Like, why does she have this type of control over me? Um, that was like the day I had the revelation. Like, I got to heal this shit. I got to fix this shit. Like, this is her problem. This is her energy that she done fucked around and transferred to me over the damn telephone, and now I'm a fucking mess because she's a fucking mess. You know what I'm saying? Like, misery really does love company. And so in situations like these, you got two choices. You can either fight to help your people heal, or you can cut their ass off. And so I've cut my mom off before, and my mom is like, um, you know, now that I'm older and she's watching me and she's seeing the changes in me. My mom is like down with what I'm on, everything, anything, if that makes sense to y'all. But that was not the case back in the day. So let's see. Jazz said, I asked my 8-year-old what changes could I make to be a better mommy, and this heifer told me slow down on the mommy drinks, liquor, and wine. I had to say to myself, if she's noticing I'm heavy on the wine, I need to wait till her ass is asleep. I know you. I knew you were saying heifer. um, but Jazz, no, that's true. Absolutely. But like, I've always been that type of mom to wait till the kid to sleep. Like, I ain't never been the type of mom to do anything in front of the kids. But I know people, and I have friends that freely do stuff in front of their children and don't care. And I ain't judgmental. Shit, that's your fucking prerogative in your household. I really don't give a fuck. But as for me and my household, my kids don't see that. Now they might see me drinking, but not often. Just socially, if we having something or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Toy said, taking care of my mom now and learning how she was failed as a child. I know why I was failed as a child too. Exactly, Toy. Um, Marie said, I agree. My son helped me to see that I needed to heal because I saw the cycle continuing on as he was beginning to repeat that cycle with his children. Thank you. From telling my mom about being violated and still having to sit at dinner across the table from the person who did it on holidays, even after telling, I never felt any protection, so I got worse and worse. Um, Marie said, "Oh my girl, don't start crying, y'all. Don't get me to crying either. Over the damn telephone, yes, yep. Toy said, I'm down for cutting them off. Yeah, it's so important to talk to our kids. Hell, I have a whole ass half sister that I don't claim. Girl, listen. So, going back to the parents, y'all. So it took for my mom to like really trigger me in a way that I was like, damn, she just transferred this energy to me. Raquel said, this is making me want to drink. Girl, Raquel, how your drink? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Shit, it's new. Like her transferring that energy, to me on the phone that day when I was like having an amazing day. And this was like after like I've had my spiritual awakening, right? After I'm all, high vibes only. I'm really having a high vibe day, and she just really plummeted my energy that day. I was like, oh, this is fucked up. Toy talking about I got a glass of wine, Raquel. I'm like, oh, this is fucked up. Like, I can't let her do me like this. So, that was my revelation that I had to deal with her differently, right? And I had to process, you know what I'm saying? When she come at me bogus, I have to process that shit differently, and I have to handle her differently. But I also have a different mindset of, the entire situation. So when she came here after that event, after that triggering event, right? When she came down here, oh man, Cece, I'm glad you back. So I was going back to the triggering event that gave me the revelation that I had to change my mindset in regards to my mom and how she had control over me, right? Because I just couldn't do that no more. Like I'm in my 30s, and I've been letting her do this to me. Like, she would do stuff for me, and then she would want to hold it against my head, and then my husband was saying I was doing that shit to him. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I'm turning into my mom for real, and I ain't never wanted to be my mom, and all the things that I would complain about my mom and how she treated me and growing up and how she raised me. I heard my son saying those things about me. Like, I knew that that's what was happening. And so like in my mom's case, she never had more kids. You know what I'm saying, to experiment on. In my case, I had more kids to experiment on. So like, me as a parent, growing, evolving, the way that Edward was raised is different from the way that Joshua Solani and even Dakaya is raised now, man. You got to think about it. Like, she is a light child, the baby. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna be totally different. She already totally different than the other kids are. But going back to my mom, so that shit triggered a complete mindset change in me and a change in how I deal with my mother. And so she came to visit me and to stay with me for my birthday. And so I decided to have a conversation with her and tell her that we need to heal some shit, right? Man, why the fuck did I do that, y'all? Marie said, "This good stuff. We really need this safe space to talk about real issues. This is very helpful." Well, you're welcome. I think any space is safe. I don't give a fuck. I'm transparent, and I feel like these are the types of shit that people don't want to talk about, and people always telling me not to talk about. So I'm gonna talk about that shit. Um, so she came down here to stay with me, and I felt like we were having a good time. Like, I planned a whole weekend around family and just being surrounded by family for my birthday this particular year. And, just us fellowshipping together and, cooking and eating because that's what family does. You know what I'm saying? I had people coming in from out of town, not just my mom, but other people. But, of course, my mom was here first. So, anyway, when I tell her we got to heal. Actually, y'all, I want to say this was like the morning of my birthday, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't even remember what was said that triggered the conversation on this particular day, even though I was planning to have it. I didn't know it was going to happen on this particular day. But I was bringing something up to her, and she just went from 0 to 1,000 like real quick. And I was getting ready to go there with her, right? And I'm like, well, what happened? What are you talking about? She was like, I knew I shouldn't have came down here. You with this bullshit. And I'm like, wait, what is going on? Like, why are you what happened? Like, we was really having a conversation, but she was really upset by whatever I said. That shit just really made her mad. And I'm like, you do know that I'm a whole ass adult, right? Like, you do know that I'm like 30 something years old. Like, I got a whole grown adult child too. Like, mom, I am an adult. I'm a grown up. I'm not a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't keep talking to me like you gonna whoop my ass. Like, I'm old as fuck. Do you think I'm gonna stand here and let you beat my ass? Like, for real. And the fact that I had never talked to her like that, I told her what she was doing. The fact that I never talked to her like that or stood up to my mother to tell her that she was toxic, she was like, what the fuck? So Jazz said, Nikki had asked me, did I tell her what she was doing? Yes, this was my opportunity to tell her what she was doing. Like, this was my opportunity to really get her to understand that she was toxic and that she had shit she needed to heal from, right? Kayla said Zoom calls would be great too. Zoom calls would be great. And so, I finally had to have that conversation with her. Like, man, dude, I know you parented me a certain way, but I don't have to parent my kids the way that you parented me. I'm a whole ass adult. I'm a whole ass human being. I'm a whole ass person with my own values, with my own opinions. And so I am going to parent my children the way that I want to parent them. Because guess the fuck what? When they become whole ass adults, just like me, they're going to make their own fucking decisions and do what the fuck they want to do. Just like my son. I watched it happen. I gave him everything. I took him out of the hood. I gave him all the opportunities in the fucking world. And he's fucking a genius. He's brilliant. He has my brain, all of it. But he don't know what he want to do with it. So let's see. Raquel said, I had a heated exchange with my mother, and the empath in me was feeling her pain at the same time. I was so fucked up in that moment. I wanted to fight her and hug her at the same time. Raquel, that's exactly what happened. And Raquel is my cousin, so Raquel knows this story. I've told Raquel, what happened and how my mom and I had a moment. And so it was in that moment when she was telling me, like, I knew I shouldn't have came down here. And I'm like, why? Why shouldn't you have come down here? Like, why are you shutting down? Why don't you want to have this conversation? I'm like, Mom, I am my own parent. I can parent my kids the way I want to. And guess what? I understand that you only parented with what you have. I understand that. But do you understand that? Do you understand that you aren't necessarily the best parent in the world, but you parented with what you had and what you knew? Because here I am trying to tell you that I'm willing to extend you some grace, but you got to take some accountability for your actions at some point. When Jazz said they still think they can tell us what to do. No, ma'am, I don't have to do a thing you say, Sister Soldier. And so exactly, and that's what I was saying. Like, as a mom, that's what she would do. Like, if she did something for me, or if I borrowed something for her, she would use it as manipulation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I run a whole t-shirt business, and you're gonna tell all these people that I'm gonna give them t-shirts for free, and I'm not. I'll give you your t-shirt for free, but these motherfuckers gotta pay for their t-shirt. And then you get mad at me because I don't do it. I ain't doing none of y'all fucking t-shirt. And I'm a whole ass adult. And this is my time and my gift. And if I say I'm not doing it, you really can't be mad at me for that. You know what I'm saying? You can feel some type of way because I told you no, but not really, because it's my right to tell you no. It's my choice to tell you no. You overstepped your boundaries when you told somebody I was going to do some shit for them for free, because you know that's the total opposite of who I am and how I operate as a person. I don't do shit for free. Jazz said, parents always have a way of making their failures yours as well. But not even just their failures, right? So, like, I'm talking to my mom about legacy, right? And how I want to leave this legacy and the shit that I want to do, and kind of like what she needs to do, right? And this even still now today. And I know we talked about cutting people off, but my mom is actually working to change. Like, my mom is actually healing. Like, that day we had the blow up, she expressed to me, you know what I'm saying, that she does have things that she didn't realize she needed to heal from, right? So in that moment when we were arguing, she wanted to quit, she wanted to give up. Like, our breakthrough was right around the corner. And so a lot of times, y'all, when y'all don't want to communicate and y'all don't want to talk, y'all miss out on your breakthrough because you don't want to have the hard conversations. And in that moment, I had to corner my mama in one of my bedrooms and have a hard ass conversation with her. Like, I know, like, I'm your child, so I know that you've experienced things that I have no idea about, right? Because as your child and as a whole as human being, there's a whole lot of shit that I done been through and experienced, and trauma and all that type of shit, that you have no idea about, and that you'll never know as my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know every single person has those things. And so I know you went through stuff, because mom, in that moment, she was like, there's things you don't even know that happened in that house. Talking about my grandparents' house, right? Because this is like the fight of the century right now. What are we going to do with this house and this land? She got trauma there. Tear the fucking house down. I don't have no problem with tearing the house down. It ain't no argument with me. She having an internal struggle with what to do, because it's her parents' legacy. And even though we've had our healing moment and our discussion about how I understand and I extend her grace, she still ain't able to extend her parents none in their death. Cian said, my mom can't hear anything about herself. She dismissed wrongdoings. CC witnessed this. Right, Cian. And so that's why I extend my mom grace all the time, because it might take her a moment, but she will reflect and she will come back and we will have the good conversation. I love you too, cuz. Thanks for joining. Check out the rest of the video. The replay will be up. And so, y'all, A lot of times we grow up and we become whole as adults and we be like 40 years old and we don't never talk to our parents adult to adult, right? We don't never confront our parents. We don't never tell our parents how we feel. We don't never, you know what I'm saying, keep it all the way real. We tiptoe around them all the time, and I just ain't never been that person. But because I didn't know healing was a thing for a really long time, shit, I ain't know that it was okay to fucking stand up to my mom and tell her about herself. Hey, lady, you are not perfect, Patty. Cien said, my mom don't reflect. Time just passed. And so that's like the whole generation before us, Cien. They don't reflect. They just move how they move. It is what it is. Toy said, my mom was so hard to deal with when I first got her, but we talk healing in my house. She's not blaming people for everything anymore. Absolutely. Cien said he gave up. Cien, sometimes you have to. Like, people have to be open to actually healing, right? You can't force nobody to heal. You can only suggest it. You can identify, you know what I'm saying, areas where healing might be necessary. But if they don't want to do the work, you can't make them do it. And so that's when your cutoff game got to be strong. It is what it is. Cece said she told her mom last year. Oh, CNC. Come on now. How y'all gonna be on two different platforms? CC on Instagram, seeing on seeing on Facebook. CC said your mom is still combative. She will scream and yell and hang up. Then won't hear from her until she needs something. Yeah, so just cut her off. That's all. Just cut her off. Jazz said, I've noticed my mom's trauma is so deep that she has made it a part of her identity. This is how she justifies her bad behavior. Right. And so, like, some of our parents got that trauma so, and it's so bad and it's so deep, and it has completely changed who they are or made them who they are, if that makes sense. Like, that trauma is who they are. So if you got a parent that's like got an addiction, is an alcoholic, you know what I'm saying, is a dope fiend, just imagine what type of traumas that they are reliving day in and day out, that they trying to escape from. I know my dad had some bad ones. You know what I'm saying? I got some cousins with some deep rooted trauma. Nikki said I had a whole healing retreat and my mama was front and center. Yep. um, Healing is truly a choice. Absolutely, Toy. We can't make them heal. And so, like, me confronting my mom in that bedroom and like, you know, verbally duking it out with her, and us crying it out, and like me, like, you know what I'm saying, keep talking, like, why you gonna give up, why you finna fucking fly back home, like, you know, we need to get to the bottom of this shit. Like, she really opened up, you know. And so I knew that she was ready because she came down here with some crystals in her purse. And so you can't make a person want to heal, but if you notice that they trying, and that they willing to do the work. And in terms of doing the work, I we call that shadow work. And doing the work is like getting to the root of your childhood trauma and healing that shit, and healing the bad characteristics that they created in you as a person. Sanita said, my mother is, and it is what it is, mom, as well. And I have come to the realization that I have to heal and not let her trauma trait continue to live within me. Yeah, Sanita. I don't know if you were tuned in earlier, but I was just, my mom is the same way. I think my son going to live with her for a little while gave him an opportunity to kind of see what I had to deal with, because, you know, kids think their grandparents are like God's gift to the earth. So him having to live with her as a whole, as adult, gave him an opportunity to see what I had to live in and what I had to grow up with, but also see why I am the way that I am, right? And, you know, you do have to actually just change your mindset on dealing with your parents. And it's crazy because she still do the same shit. Like, she ain't changed the way that she is. My mom, my dad is no longer here. My mom has not changed the way that she is, but my mindset has changed on how I deal with her, um, and giving her grace. And so, as opposed to her triggering me, I laugh at her ass. I don't let her trigger me. That sometimes that shit piss her off though. But you ain't gonna make me miserable because you over there miserable. And I'm old enough to hang up on your ass or tell you I don't want to hear that, or you know what I'm saying. I ain't finna let your energy come over here and penetrate my aura. We not doing that. So if you're a whole ass adult and you haven't stood up to your parent yet, then this is me telling you that it's time to stand up to your mama or your daddy as a whole ass adult. Like, if you over 30 then and you have not told your parent about themselves and it's something that needs to happen and there needs to be some healing taking place, then you need to do it. Jazz said, I'm an adult orphan. And so y'all, Jazz ain't said much, but she really is an adult orphan. And I might have family. Jazz is my cousin. I might have family members that might not like that I say this on Facebook, but what y'all gonna whip my ass? What they gonna do? Jazz got some fucked up parents. Um, Nikki said my sperm donor. I can't with him. He in denial. Jazz said my dad though, who just evil. Man, it's just like, it. I know we've all seen parents out here that just don't give a fuck about their kids or just treat their kids really, really bad. Like, I've really seen some bad shit out here, y'all. Later, Toy. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you sharing with us. Um, Sunitha said, I was, and you are described as Sunithia. She think no apologies are needed for nothing because she birthed me and I owe her. Man, and look, my mom was doing that to my grandson. She didn't even, I mean, to her grandson, cause she didn't even birth him. I did. And she actually told him one day, because y'all, my kid is the one that inspired me to stand up to my mom, because he was standing up to me and telling me, like, you kind of fucked up, lady. You kind of toxic too. Why you talking about other toxic people? And I know Kayla probably jumped off, and Kayla is Edward's age. And that's why I told her to be transparent, because and to say what she wanted to say, because I know that as parents, like, even our generation, us, my age group, my age range, we are not transparent, and some of us are just like our parents. We are the exact same way. Because I know I was that same way until I healed, until I, had another spiritual awakening, until I changed. Cian said, I definitely told my parents. My dad don't care. My mom in denial. It is what it is. It is. You're right. And so, like, it ain't no right or wrong to what you choose, y'all. We just talking about, situations and how we deal with them. Because first things first, like, for me, my job is to let y'all know that we can have some fucked up parents and we can heal. You know what I'm saying? Even if, just like Sin, he said his dad don't care and his mom in denial. But seeing, you can still heal and move on with your life. You choose how you want to deal with them. You either change your mindset and how you deal with them as a people, or you just cut them off and go on with your life, because you don't need that type of energy. You know what I'm saying? Marie said, my mom catches herself when she going down the road in which she knows I will give her a break. Our blow up birthday happened on my birthday last year. I always have extended her grace, but will blow up when she triggered me. But the last time I showed love and forced her to talk, and things have gotten a whole lot better with us. Yeah. Yep. Sometimes you got to get through that blow up, man. Those hard conversations are the ones. And our parents do not want to fucking have those hard conversations. And so, like, I did not want to be what my mom was to me, to my son. And I saw it happening. And I was like, I got to break the generational curse. Like, I saw that shit in real time. And I am the black sheep of the family that Mahogany was talking about earlier. I'm the one that always speak my mind. I always say what y'all be thinking, but y'all don't want to say out loud. Yes, the water signs, Nikki. Oh, I got another Nikki on here. Nikki said, I definitely had these conversations with both of my parents. Matter of fact, went in on both of them recently. Yes, yeah. Like, look how old we is. Just now going in on our parents. We should have been did that, y'all. My son is 22 years old. He'll be 23. And he's always spoke his mind. And so the great thing about what I saw in that is that the kids are enlightened younger and younger and younger. And if y'all follow me and y'all see me post Kai, this baby is magical. Yes, Scorpio. Them Scorpios cutoff game is real good. Um, let's see. Nikki said they have to respect you at some point. Yes, your parents do have to respect you. Like, respect is huge. Respect is huge. And I'm still like, my husband is starting to understand more, but like my husband is 10 years my senior, so he like got that idea of parenting like our parents will, like, you don't have to respect the kids. And I'm like, you do, you have to respect the kids. But like, that's how I used to parent my son. Like, you gonna respect me, I don't have to respect you. But that's improper parenting. And so that's why we become whole as adults, right? That's why we become whole as adults and we be scared to check our parents and tell them the truth and be honest with them. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of like how it became my passion to like share more and to share how important healing is and how important self-care is, because you can't help nobody else heal if you don't heal yourself. You can't help nobody else do shit if you don't heal yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And so a lot of us know that we have toxic parents, and it's so easy to identify the toxic parents, right? But the way you deal with toxic parents is you heal. And sometimes healing is realizing that your ass a toxic parent too. And so that's the part that some of y'all ain't gonna like, is that when you reflect and when you look in the mirror and when you do your shadow work, when it's time for you to heal your childhood drama, you realize that some of the stuff that you do is some of the shit that your parents did to you. And you do that shit unconsciously. You ain't even know. You ain't even know. Jazz said, my mom put her hands on me and I called the police for myself because I knew if I had let that part of me come out on her physically, I would have destroyed her. Y'all, Jazz strong as hell too. Mahogany said, my cup needs replenishment. Yeah, it does. And so every time I get on here, you know, I'm going to tell y'all self-care comes first. In order to heal, you have to take care of yourself. You have to get yourself on the energetic vibration of happiness. So you have to do things that make you feel good and that make you happy. And then you have to find ways to keep yourself on that vibration and on that wavelength, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I know as women, we try to do that shit all the time, but you can't. Yes, Jazz was in the state of mind of saving both of us, and she didn't want to hurt her mama. And Jazz was grown. Her mom thought she was gonna put her hands on her, and that was a conversation I had to have with my mom too. Like, you think you're gonna threaten me, and I'm old as hell? Like, you think I'm just gonna let you whoop on me? What do you think I am? 5? I'm not just gonna let you whoop me. I'm grown. Yeah, who want to go through life having that experience fighting your mom? That's terrible. Yep. The journey of taking care of you is ongoing. Like you never stop the self care. Like I know a lot of times we get lost in work. We get lost in the kids, y'all, but we should never stop self care. On one of these videos, I talked about how I hadn't gone to the salon and gotten my hair done. Probably like since right after I got married. I didn't get my hair done none while I was pregnant. And I was just doing it myself, or maybe my sister might do it for me or something like that. But I wasn't going to the salon. And that's something I love doing. I love going to get my hair done, and looking good on a regular basis. And I had to get back to that to keep my wavelength high. And so my appointment is standing. I ain't never slacking off on that again. So self care is important, whatever that means to you as an individual, not what it means to somebody else, but whatever that means to you, whatever gives you joy, that's what you should be doing. Marie said, "Now my dad, he's emotionally unattached, and I'm trying to figure out how to approach him. But I feel like I need to have that talk with him. Unavailable, I should have said. Yes. Oh, and men don't have emotions. They don't deal in emotions. So you just gotta deal in what's real and tell him, you know what I'm saying, how it make you feel. It ain't an emotional thing. You want him to be emotional. He ain't gonna be emotional. So that's gonna be a mindset thing for you. Like you got some expectations of how you want him to feel or how you want him to think. Like what do you want from the conversation? Is the question. Um because like for me, you ain't gotta necessarily feel some type of way, but acknowledge your accountability in whatever happened or whatever the situation is. That's all I want. Is the truth to be told. But here's the other thing that I think um, that gets misconstrued and lost in translation between parents and children, right? So like just think about like we're in the same room, we having the same experience, right? But your mindset somewhere else, and so my mindset is somewhere else too. So and we could even be having a conversation or doing something together or whatever the case may be. But this situation that's happening is happening in a certain way, right? That's reality, time and space. But as an individual, I'm perceiving this event one way. And as an individual, you're perceiving this event another way, right? So we have actually three events taking place at the same time. My perception of what's happening, what's actually happening, and then your perception of what's happening. And so when we think about parents and children, even though we live in a house together, look, first of all, Jazz and Nikki is just having a whole conversation in my comments on Instagram that don't have nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Hey, Kia, thanks for joining. But now, so, you know, these events are all happening at the same time in the same space. So if y'all think about that, like, you know what I'm saying? Being in a relationship with somebody, the woman perceives the relationship one thing, the man perceives the relationship a different way. If you can understand and accept that perception is everything, and that perception is reality to the perceiver, then you can give a little bit more grace to people. And you can have a little bit more understanding and be a little bit more open-minded, if that makes sense, in dealing with your parents. So Marie, and thinking about that with your parents, they only gonna see the situation one way, and that's how they perceived it at the time, what was in line with their values, if that makes sense. And at the time as a child, you might have seen the situation in one way, and then once you grew up and look back on that shit, you might see it as another way. And that shit warrants addressing. But I would say ask spirit to guide your tongue when you have that conversation with your dad. Just pray on it beforehand. Light a candle, ask for protection. Um, get you some blue stones and ask spirit to guide that communication and that interaction between you guys. May it be blessed. See, I was gonna go back and go through y'all comments, but I'm not. I'm not, Jazz. You and Nikki, I'm not finna. I'm done talking. You talking about some okay, girl, let's listen. um, and so, oh, Nikki. Yes, this is my cousin Jazz. Jazz is actually from Cali. And Jazz, I told Nikki I was coming to see her after she moved. So anyway, y'all stop sharing on Facebook, man. What's up? What y'all feel about that message? We already been on here about an hour, and we done talked about our parents being toxic. We done talked about being the toxic parent ourselves. Excuse me, I'm sorry. No, because your face kind of dirty. I don't want you on camera with the people seeing you looking like that. I talk about people, kids that be out in public looking like that. So you can't come on camera looking like that. Nikki said, I want to get right with my dad, but he just don't listen. And he might not listen, Nikki. He might not. He might not receive what you have to say. Um, but you can tell him and you can move on. You can heal yourself. He don't have to listen. Like, I know y'all, when we dealing with our parents, we have this idea in our head that in order for us to heal and in order for us to be okay and in order for us to move on, our parents have to do something, or they have to feel some type of way, or they have to acknowledge their accountability, and they don't. And we might not never get that. Like, stop seeking, don't seek closure from these people. That's not where you get your closure from. You get your closure from yourself. You get your closure from spirit. And so the only thing that you can do and what should make you happy and what should give you joy and make you feel better is being truthful and being honest with the people, telling it like it is. This is my truth. This is my reality. This is how this made me feel. I know sometimes people make us feel like our emotions and the way we feel and the way we respond is bad, but it's not. It never is. And so if you are in a situation or there's somebody making you feel bad for feeling a certain type of way or thinking a certain type of way or having perceived the situation a certain type of way, don't feel no type of way. That person might be deflecting or trying to hide some shit. Your truth is your truth. I have friends that are afraid to tell their truth because somebody else don't want the truth to come out, or somebody else don't want the public to know the truth. Don't let anybody make you afraid to tell your truth. You're welcome, Marie. I hope that helped. I hope that inspired you and empowered you to have that conversation with your dad. And just don't have any expectations from it, but just, you know that it needs to be done. You know that you need to heal. You know that you need to change your mindset. So let those be your intentions, and it will be so. And so y'all, if y'all have, because we got some comments going, and I know it's quite a few of y'all saying that your parents won't listen, right? Your parents don't want to have a conversation. So I ain't never had a chance to have a conversation with my dad. And we kind of jumped into some other things, and I didn't get a chance to mention this, right? And so on the one hand, I have my mom that I'm blessed to still have. And she walking around here looking just like me at 70 years old and in good shape and form. So I'm blessed to still have her. But I lost my dad 10 years ago this year in April. Yeah. You just need to tell him your truth. But don't have no expectations on what he does with your truth. Just find peace in knowing that this is your truth. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to feel no type of way about it. Like it, just like they ass. It is what it is. It's your truth. It is what it is. They can't take it away from you. It is your truth. Um, Jazz, you are rude as hell. But just tell him. Just don't have no expectations on what he does next. And don't be attached to what he does next either. Because you're grown as hell. Ain't nothing. What are you going to do? He can't do shit to you. It ain't going to change how you live. They ain't going to pay your bills. What is it going to do? That's some empowering shit. When you lived your whole life not wanting to tell your parents about themselves or tell your parents the truth or tell your parents that you're a whole ass adult with different opinions of theirs, because a lot of times we be scared to tell our parents the real, because we know they have different opinions. And I tell like, I used to be scared to tell my mama. I tell her all the time now though. Like, okay, that's what you chose to do. Who made that shit the word? That shit ain't in the Bible. No, don't be attached to what they do or say next. Absolutely not. That's not your cross to bear. Yep. That is you still giving them control. We talked about breaking the control. We trying to heal and stop the triggers. So when my mama come at me with that bullshit, I had to laugh her ass off. Girl, take that old somewhere else. You're not finna do this. I'm not finna do this with you today. So Jazz and Nikki having a whole ass conversation. They having their own healing over there. While we talking, they sharing. I'm proud of Nikki though, cause she was talking about she don't make friends. She doing a good job. So y'all, how was this discussion? Did somebody get something from this discussion? Because I know, people be looking for views, but I'm just trying to help one or two folks. I'm just trying to help somebody go have that conversation with that hard conversation with their parent. Go lock your parent in the bedroom and see if you can promote some healing. You might not. I mean, in all actuality, it could go one or two ways. You got a 50-50 chance. It can go good, and they can acknowledge that shit, and they can say it is what it is. Because at the end of the day, this is the other part of the conversation, right? The past is the past. What the fuck y'all want them to do about it? I know that, we got parents that might have did some shit to us, and we might have did some shit to our kids. We can't do shit about none of it. It's all in the past. It's all behind us, and we are in 2021. So, once you have that conversation, what do you want to happen next? It's not nothing your parents could do about what they did in the past. And ain't nothing they could do about their actions back then. So what is it that you're looking for? What are you expecting right now? Let's see. Cece said, my mom is coming to visit in April, and I'm excited because this is the first time in my adult life that she has been sober. I definitely want to have a hard talk with her, as long as I'm not in labor. Yes. If he don't want to deal with it, let it go. Yep. So healing is our individual responsibilities, right? Like, you be my best friend in the whole world, and I could know exactly what it is that you need to heal from. But unless you want to heal from that shit, me knowing and me trying to help ain't gonna help you. And that shit definitely ain't gonna help me. So what I'm gonna press you for? So y'all, healing gotta be something that you want to do, something internal. And the same thing for our parents. Our parents gotta want to heal that shit. And I know there's some people out there that got parents that are way too far gone because they never got no help. They ain't never got no therapy. I tell y'all all the time, everybody need therapy. We all need some fucking therapy. But there's some fucking 70-year-old, 80-year-old, 60-year-old people out there that probably should have got therapy 30 years ago and been drinking every day because they've been reliving their trauma. We can't be those people. We can't let our kids be those people. And so I feel like, you know, and this is just me, but I feel like for our generation, we need to be reaching both ways. Trying to heal the kids, right? Because if any of y'all like me and had a kid earlier, you probably fucked your kid up. I tell people all the time, that little generation, like that age, them 22, 23-year-olds, them kids is fucked up. We fucked them kids up. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I take responsibility for me fucking up mine. I know where I went wrong. I know what I did wrong. But I've grown and I've changed. I ain't still doing that stuff. And so that's what we have to realize about our parents. And that's what I had to give my son to understand about me. Me and him grew up together. So the way that I raised him at 15, and then when I had Josh at 21, I wasn't that same person that I was at 15. So I'm not this same mom. And each time I had kids, I was a different mom. I was a different person. I had grown. And so we have to realize that our parents did too. Like, even though we were kids, we watched our parents grow up, or we watched our parents grow into different people. So they're not the same people that they were when they inflicted the trauma or the pain on us. They're not the same people. And so we do have to extend them grace for that reason too. And so Jazz is over here talking about how she healed from her dad issues. Jazz has a dad that is just not ever really been present. And she moved down here to Atlanta, and he actually lives here, and he's a relative. And I don't talk to him either, but she ain't talk to him either. And so, you know, it's people out there, parents that don't have shit to do with their kids. And as a parent, that's a choice. God gave us all choices. And if you have a parent that made that choice that don't have shit to do with you, then why are you attached to that? Why are you attached to the fact that your parent don't want to have shit to do with you? Why are you holding on to that? They don't have shit to do with you. If you got a parent that don't want to have shit to do with you, that don't have shit to do with you. It's all of them issue. As Jazz said, not caring about your kids is a mental health issue. It is. It's a selfish issue, but it's a fucked up individual issue. But a lot of times the kids take on the trauma of thinking it's them. My dad don't love me. My dad didn't like me. I saw that earlier. My dad didn't like me. Sometimes it ain't that. They don't like themselves. They just fucked up. They ain't got shit to do with you. They projecting some shit onto you. You're the person that's feeling the effect of their behaviors, but you weren't the cause. You weren't the reason. And so don't be attached to that. Those are all things that we gotta let go. We gotta let that go. So y'all, I've been on here about an hour and 15 minutes. I don't want to keep y'all too long, but I just wanted to share with y'all about toxic parents and be transparent that I have been the toxic parent, and I'm pretty sure I still got some toxic traits I ain't getting rid of. I ain't Mother Teresa. I ain't perfect. Nobody is. You know what I'm saying? So, as a parent, talk to your kids. Later, sis. talk to your kids. Allow them to talk to you, and don't be like our parents was, and just don't be trying to hear them. Cause I know that there are some people in my generation that parent just like they parents did, and their kids would rather talk to me than talk to them. And as an auntie, I would never betray their trust. So, but in knowing that, right, I know that my kids, probably do the same thing. Even though I try to keep the lines of communication completely open. As transparent as I am with y'all, just imagine how transparent I am within my household. So, Jazz said, this was good therapy for me, my soul, and I sat here and massaged my leg the whole time. I know that's right, with that good old energy. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoy. I'm glad you got a message from this word today. I didn't know how it was going to go. A lot of times when I be doing these talks, I be worried about what people are going to think, or how people going to receive it, or how people going to respond. But I know that there is somebody out there that is either like going through what I went through. And I just felt like, man, I was so fucking old before I knew I could tell my mama about herself. I bet you it's a lot of other old motherfuckers, and we ain't really that old. But just the fact that, like, we good and adults in our own crib. Like, I own whole businesses. I kind of help take care of this lady a little bit, and then I'm scared to motherfucking tell her about herself. No, I can't do that. I got to share this message with somebody. It's somebody else out here that need to have a hard conversation with their parents. So I'm glad y'all enjoyed this. The replay will be available. I am gonna also save it. I'm trying to improve my digital footprint, y'all, and I guess be like an influencer or whatever helps me to get to the money, y'all. So I ain't finna just be giving y'all this good word and don't figure out how to monetize it. So y'all help me. Make sure y'all subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my Instagram pages, The Regal Phoenix everywhere. Everything is The Regal Phoenix except for Facebook. If you haven't liked us on Facebook, it's Shop Regal Phoenix. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate you tuning in. I don't know if I'm coming back on Friday. I gotta see if Spirit give me a message, but we might do Friday too at 11:30. CC told me to do twice a week, so I might be back on Friday at 11:30. Y'all tell me what y'all want to talk about. So, y'all remember self-care. That's my whole thing. This is all about self-care. So, even though we talked about toxic parents, y'all, before I go, I just want y'all to remember that this was really a message about self-care, right? Identifying your toxic parents and their traits, and healing from the trauma that they cause and the triggers that they are still causing is going to help change your life. So self-care is the word. It's always the word. Part of taking care of yourself, it might be checking your parents. And I learned that one from my kid. Y'all have a good day. Why?